Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining the Wellness Trinity podcast. I am Dr. Jacqueline, naturopathic doctor and owner of the Wellness Trinity, where we provide natural solutions for modern day wellness. Just a little disclaimer before we get started, what we discuss on this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. What you do with the information is to be used at your discretion, as the recommendations are not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any diseases. So today I have a special guest on the show. Her name is Leslie Ann, and I met her in Las Vegas through networking, and she's become a good friend and colleague, and she is an emotional wellness coach. So this is her bio. Have you ever found your destiny by accident? Well, that happened to Leslie Ann. Leslie Ann has always had a passion for helping people, whether it has been being a paramedic, a security manager for various Las Vegas resorts, and now as an emotional wellness coach. Out of a struggle building a growth relationship with one of her clients, Leslie Ann gave it one last attempt and took her client out on a hike. Oh my God, this was it. Her client was able to finally surrender and release the demons that were holding her back. With the magic from this hiking adventure, Leslie Ann decided to take more and more of her clients out on coaching hikes, which developed into her signature coaching program called Hikes Heal. Out of this struggle, Leslie Ann has found a way to combine all her experiential knowledge as a first responder, nature adventurer, and coach with a dose of her imaginative flair to provide an amazingly awesome action-based coaching program, Hikes Heal. Leslie Ann, welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to see you and to hear what we're going to have to talk about today.
So, Leslie Ann, why don't you elaborate a little bit on why you decided to create this program, Hikes Heal?
Well, it was, as we talked about, through part of the struggle that I had with a client of mine. So it was the intuitive hit that I got. You need to take her out into nature. Nature is very healing. We kind of already know that as a base, since we love to go on adventures. Everybody likes to visit, Yosemite or places in Las Vegas here. But it wasn't until I actually was able to be with her and use the coaching tools along with the powers of nature that I saw this amazing transformation between where she was and then where she was after we did the hike and we did the releasing. So the combination of coaching and hiking and nature and actually spirituality is a lot out there, because I think my ultimate church is nature. So it's just all those elements combined helps my clients heal. And I also get healing every time I go on a hike with them too. So it's just amazing, just because it's reciprocity where we're helping Mother Earth and taking care of her and healing ourselves individually. So that is what we do. It's all based around hiking, healing, coaching, and just being able to release those negative energies that are holding you down.
Nice. Yeah. So what are some of the places that you like to take people on hikes to?
Well, here in Vegas is because it's been a little hot lately. So we've been mostly up in Mount Charleston, but there's a lot of trails that are in Mount Charleston. But on the days when it's cooler in the valley, we like to go to Red Rock. We've gone to the hot springs that's over in Boulder City. Over by Boulder City, there's also called the Six Tunnels. That's over by Hoover Dam. So in order, also with coaching, and you get a history lesson, because that hike is actually the old railroad where they used to go to bring the cement to build Hoover Dam. So as you got all this history of Hoover Dam, and history is very healing too. So that's another way, learning about the story and the backstory. Again, it's very empowering. And the other hike that I just went on was Valley of Fire, and it was very hot, but it was very good and and the different rocks have different energy vibrations that will give off. We'll talk about that later. But each different element. And so it's just a basic, I can be your tour guide, but it's also healing through the Nevada wilderness.
Nice. So most of it is in Nevada. You don't really go abroad for these hikes?
Not yet. What we will be doing is, actually nobody knows about this right now. I don't even think you know about it. It's my husband and I, in 2 years, we're going to be going on a 1.5 year trip, we're getting a trailer and we're going to go on a trip of all the national parks, and Hikes Heal is going to go on tour. So basically when we travel around, then we can go ahead. I'll be doing some coaching from Mount Rushmore in Yellowstone, so we can see like all the different effects. But that will be in about 2 years. Right now it's basically out of Nevada. We decided to sell the home, and we're going to go and figure out, travel around there, so we see where we want to live. But also Hikes Heal will be on tour just to see how many other people I could reach, because a lot of people love the fact of this program, and I want to reach as many people as I can because it's so transformative. It's amazing. Yeah.
You're the first person I know of that has combined those two things of emotional wellness, healing, and hiking together. And I just think it's amazing because there's just, like you were saying, there's so much power in nature to be grounded and healed and just pull out negative energies.
You got it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that means I have a lot, since I like to go and I get healed all the time. So it's just like, all right. But it's the whole element of nature, and just seeing. What I love the most is actually being able to share this with individuals, because they're able to do a lot more than just heal actually emotions. There's also physical, because some people that they could climb. We don't rock climb. I mean, we're all based on the physical ability that you are. But even walking in nature, just by the one hike that we do, they're amazed that they could climb up to this beautiful area. And it is like an incline, but once you get there, the views are spectacular. So it's just also like, well, if we climb up and see beyond, it might be hard, but look where you get and see all the magnificence that's out there. And like the initial journey is going to be very, very hard, but look at the reward that you get at the end. Right. And plus we get to have a snack and eat and, talk about that stuff at the time. So that's how it does, is they're going through it physically, mentally, and emotionally at the same time. So it's all three of these things working. All the aspects are working, because you want to center them and provide unity to propel you to where you want to go.
Yeah. Well, and you had mentioned, you're like, I don't know if I just need this more or or what. But I don't think that you're definitely not crazy, but I don't think you're crazy for feeling like that. We need to get out in nature more, not just yourself, but most people in general. We have, naturally we would have been living more in nature, but we have come so far from that. Now a lot of us are living in cities, and we're getting away from the countryside. We're getting away from the forest. And I really think that it is affecting people's health in a number of ways. And then on top of that, we have EMFs. So these electromagnetic frequencies that are just everywhere. We got the smartphones and computers, and then the 5G towers and power lines, and this stuff is everywhere bombarding us. So when you go into nature, it's just going to help to be able to get us more centered and grounded and pull that negative energy out.
Yeah, it's very good. And it's a couple exercises that we do helps draw that, because there is an experiment, and I could provide you with the article later. We could put it as attachment on, but it's where they were powering their electronics through the elements of trees. So trees put off a vibration, so they were plugging in. So it's just, you have this much energy that's around you, but you have the one that's really not healthy, and then you have the one that's pure energy, that's love. So it's just, which one do you want to put inside your body? So I can give you that article.
Yeah.
On that. It was cool.
Yeah, that is really interesting. So I'm sure most people need to do something like this at least. But what would you say your therapy is, particularly really good for?
It's actually where I found the most beneficial is for individuals who have recently gone through a life-changing event. So what I'm talking about with that, I mean, people can think of anything as a life-changing event, but what normally it comes down into is just suffered from a divorce. Divorce can be stressful, or recently married, just because going through different things, you're now coming into a house where you have to figure out, you have another person there to figure out. So It's just like, and it could be very stressful. So you have that life-changing event, but there's also then change of a job. And who I'm working with right now that's amazing are first responders. So everything that goes into being a first responder and you have to be in charge. It's the nature of your job. Well, you don't have to be strong all the time. So when we go on these hikes, it helps them not be strong all the time, to let them release, to let them heal, to let emotions back in, because some of them like to numb them and just have those emotions up. We all do. But those are the four that I've found that I've mostly helped out. But now first responders are starting to come more and more on the trips with me.
Well, and you were a first responder, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was the first responder, and then since I worked on the security strip, there's a lot of correlation where I can go ahead and help them and understand, and being a paramedic, that the high stress stuff. So it's but there also is the trust. And the thing is, a lot of us with first responders, there's the problem with eye contact, because we're kind of surveying everybody behind us. So it's when we're going on these hikes, we're side by side. There's no eye contact. I'm holding space for them side by side, where it doesn't have to be me sitting across from them like, tell me how you feel. I'm great. Can we go now? So it's this thing, we're able to work it through and carry on, and it kind of helps them out. And they know that they're not alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. So how does being in nature help people in their healing journey?
Nature there's probably more powers that I haven't found out, or I haven't discovered yet, but there's 12 powers of nature, and we can touch on a couple of them that actually help you heal that you don't really realize. And it's these powers of nature that they're very subtle. So you love the beauty of nature, but one thing that you'll learn once you'll really get in is the number one thing, and this is also the first step in emotional sobriety, is the effects of powerlessness. When you're in nature, you are at the whims of your mother. So basically, I'm talking about the universal mother, Mother Nature. You're not in control. Nature's in control. So nature teaches you how to go with the flow, take a path of least resistance. Like, you might want to go that way, but something inside your stomach says to go the other way. Well, animal instincts, they'll go to the way of least resistance. But us as humans, we like to fight it because we think we know the best direction. Well, you can't do that in nature, because nature will show you who's in charge. Either it could be rain. I got caught in rain. Where you think up in Mount Charleston, it's beautiful all the time, but there was just one cloud and we got it. And it's interesting. So you have to learn how to be prepared, but not be in control. So it's like, think of the worst case scenario, not fear it, but just, if this happens, here we go, and then go ahead and move on. So you have that surrender, and nature has that thing. And so the power of powerlessness is the most crucial element that nature will teach you.
Yeah. I feel like that's when it's been my surrender. It's been, I don't know if you know, but I have this tattoo on my wrist that says I surrender.
I very nice. I knew you had a couple tattoos.
Yeah, that was one of my big learning lessons in life. That
it is the hardest.
My body.
It is the hardest. Surrender's hard, because there's actually two things that you have. You have your ego, and then you have your true self. So your ego is trying to tell you, like, for years, this is what you have to do to succeed in business and work and everything else like that. But your true self is saying, no, this isn't what I need to do. So it's learning how to trust that person, or that is actually your inner voice, but it's not that negative gremlin inner voice like, are you sure you want to go there? It's trusting. If you want to be an artist, then trust that inner person, and then know that your ego will help you along the way. See, we grow up to a point where we know how to develop the ego because of like school, because of structure, but yet we don't know how to listen to our true self. So once you listen to your true self, so it's just learning how to balance. Neither one of them is good or bad. It's just, okay, how do we make it work together where your true self can go ahead and shine?
Yeah. Well, that's where you're going to probably have more peace too, I would think.
Because that's what you're actually meant for. That's where you're in alignment for it.
Yeah. That is why I have this on my wrist. I realized too, also, at some point, I've always been a type A personality, and just go and try to achieve everything in the world. And then I had a reality check with God one day, or a period of time where I was like, wait, I'm not in charge of of everything. It was like how your experience in nature, where it's
Yes.
like you go out in nature and you're like, wait a second, there's something bigger governing this whole thing. And I get to make some choices along the way, but at the same time, there's still something better. I might as well just align myself with that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very
And
good.
that's where I was able to find a lot of peace too. So, yeah. So, we had chatted a little bit before, and you're saying that nature also allows you to find purpose, helps you to
Mhm.
focus on your purpose in life.
Yes. So a purpose in life is, you hear all these books, like you got to find your purpose. And it actually now, because it's kind of like the trendy thing where it's like, oh my gosh, it's kind of stressful now. People will ask, you're on, like a job interview well, what's your purpose in life? And if you tell them, you're like, ooh, is that what they want to hear? Is they not want to hear? Or, oh my gosh, what's going on? So all of this is trying to create some stress. So with purpose in life, and I teach that. So I teach people how to have a purpose in life, and I'm stressing because I didn't know exactly how that worked. So like even trying to build my business as a coach, and this is what I wanted to do. So then when I finally was able to surrender in nature, and then it was the surrendering with the client, nature is the thing of, if we don't take care of ourselves, we have to take care of it. What am I doing to take care of myself? And it's not just going to get a pedicure because, we all like those. But what am I taking care of? My emotions, my soul, that is my purpose, is what am I doing to take care of that, but also reciprocate it and then make this world a better place. So in nature, there is the part of where we start out on the trails and there's a lot of litter. You go ahead, you see the litter, you see it all around. People are like, yeah, I love nature. Do you really? Or are you abusing nature?
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing this stuff? You're littering. You have, I'm sorry, dog individuals and stuff out there. Bring your dogs, clean it up. You have this stuff that's there because you have people who don't want to walk through the stuff.
Right.
So you have that. But once you go on the harder elements of life or the harder elements of the trail, you don't see that stuff. It becomes less, congested, less everything. So it went into like, my purpose is to teach people, all right, you can do the easy stuff in life that's down here where everybody has, it's chaos, it's cluttered, it's all this. But if you travel up to the beginning and travel up to the harder elements of life, look at how much freer and clearer and the views that you have. So mine is just learning how to take care of people, but also to pass your comfort zone, to go ahead and pass that, take the extra couple steps to see what magnificence you can see. But it's also taking care of your Mother Earth. Leave no trace behind. That's the number one rule in nature, not mine. It's, like an act on the nature's guide and the trail guides is leave no trace. And it's there for a reason, because there are organisms and there are things that are supporting us. So let's take care of it and support it back in return.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So what can people expect when they go on a hike with you?
Well, there's a couple things. There's, we'll sit down and first we'll have like an initial consultation, because basically it's just like, all right, some people don't want to go on strenuous hikes. Some people think of a hike and you think of like a 7-day backpacking trip, so it's a day hike. It's just a day hike, everyone. The majority is a 3-hour hike. That's where, because you really start to shift about an hour and a half into even a coaching call sometimes. That's why it's kind of, I do 2-hour coaching calls, but it's you kind of start getting that shit because you're building up that trust and you're building up that thing with your coach in between. So, but we'll sit down, we'll have a consultation and see like how strenuous you want it to be. There are some stuff I don't do. I can refer people who like to go to Angel's Landing, that's up in Utah, and want to like climb off of wires to like swing around. I'm not a Mission Impossible girl movie, but that strenuous hike and stuff like that is not me, because I can't farm coaching on like the side of a mountain. To me, that's just like, yeah, I don't think so. But that's just me. But I'm like, hey. But then there are some that are they're just walks. They're paved roads. There are very, very many different and we'll just go for a walk, because the main thing to do is get your energy moving. because a lot of people just sit and they'll contemplate in the area. So it's get the energy moving. So I'll figure out what the intensity levels we want to be, but also I have to see where they also want to go. I mean, it's not my job to push them, but it's to encourage them to go to the next level. So, all right. So our first hike, if we do like a walking paved trail, it's like, well, let's try a little incline this time. Let's try a little bit more. And then to see, because some people don't like to tell me how they feel or what they want. Mm-hmm. Now they could tell you what you don't want. Everybody tells you, well, I don't want this in life, and I don't want this in life, or I don't want this. But I says, okay, well, what do you want? I don't know. Nobody's ever asked me that before. I'm like, well, okay. Well, what are you going to judge me? I says, this is a judge-free zone. I says, I've done a lot of stupid stuff in my life where I'll be the first to be like, yep, been there, done that. Sorry. Just go ahead. Or they give me good ideas and be like, never thought of that. Could that be on my bucket list or not? I don't know. But it's, what do you want out of life? And then we go there and we'll see. And when they're on there, I have to check in with them because it's just, is this too strenuous? Is it okay? Or do I need to push them a little bit at a certain level so we can go ahead and see a little bit higher? And it's gauging what's going. So they have to learn how to have their voice. They have to speak up. They have to talk to me, and they have to let me know. Because I always ask, how are you feeling? I'm okay. That's not an answer. I am okay is not an answer. You literally have to tell me how you are feeling. Yeah. Or like my teenage answer, I'm fine. How was school? It was all right. It was fine. So it's finding that it was great and, add a little bit more to it. Mm-hmm. So it's just, well, I feel tired. Okay, tired and what? My brain hurts, my legs hurt. Because sometimes it's mentally exhausting. Mm-hmm. So I have to gauge that too. Not only physical, where we're walking, there's also the mental. And then also when you release your emotions that you've had for a while, that's also very, very energy draining. So I have to gauge to make sure that they're not, just so that there's equal balance, that we're not pushing too hard, but then it's not too easy where they're not learning anything either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good that you're able to gauge where they're at. That's got to be an art in of itself, and very you have to be very what's the word I'm looking for, discerning on the person.
Well, I think being a paramedic helped me out with that one, where I had to assess the situation. And when you went in there, it's like, my chest hurts. Okay, are you having a heart attack, or is it just heartburn? What's going on? So it's being able to assess the signs. So I really feel that being a paramedic and security, because we had to do that too when we had a lot of different calls and, domestic violence calls. Like, okay, is this just mad or did somebody really get beaten up? So it's just kind of figuring out and assessing the situation. So I love that part of the history that helped me out immensely, because one of the gifts that I found out that we had was whenever we would bring someone down to the holding room, was called the security office, they would automatically confess on me. I'm like, okay, you're in handcuffs. Why are you confessing on me? Because I just asked them, I'm like, what happened? And so it's something in that, and then I learned, and I became a coach, and it's actually just the empathetic ear. So it's just learning how to do that and see, like, okay, go ahead and tell me. If you need to sit down, take a drink of water. Let's have some Gatorade. And before we go, I have a checklist that they have to show me that they prepared before we go on it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely think that hiking, there's elements where it's like, you might need something, you might need water, you might need a change of shoe, or I don't know,
an
extra pair of socks. So that I could see how that could change how comfortable the hike.
Well, but it's also, that's part of your healing process.
Right.
Because many people are not prepared for their day-to-day adventures. It's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do today, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And they don't have a set guide of what's going to be going on. So I always have extra waters. Well, you're the leader, you should. I'm like, well, what happens if I get hurt? What are you guys going to do? Oh, I'm just saying, if you guys got this stuff too, so start taking charge of your life, and not control charge. That's not what I'm talking about, but it's just preparing. Preparedness brings opportunity. Right. So it's just make sure that you have water, make sure that you have really good shoes. It doesn't have to be hiking shoes right away. Eventually we'll work up to the hiking shoes, but have like a backpack. Take your kid's backpack with you and put snacks in there and something like that for a little bit. There's always things that we can do to figure it out, but preparedness is that part that brings tons of opportunity.
Mm-hmm. So, do you feel that a lot of people have emotional blocks, like they don't want to be true to themselves on how they're feeling?
Oh yes, and I'll be guilty of their right first one to say it. Because my ego comes in the way of, well, you're an emotional wellness coach. I should go ahead and do this, and this is how I should feel. And it's learning how to have what I call with my clients. Because sometimes I'm like, hey, I don't feel that you're being honest with me. Well, I don't feel you're being honest with me. So it's just like, okay, so we have that part where we have to learn how to talk and see. My problem is I don't like conflict. And you would think, really, you did security stuff. Well, actually, security, it was just like, you have one of two options. Either you're going to leave or Metro's going to make you leave. So either way, we're going to have it figured out. But talking, my husband helped me learn how to communicate. I still don't like telling him how I really feel. It's like, ooh, am I going to upset him? Ooh, am I overreacting? Am I going to this? So it's like, let all those thoughts come in and then know how. And this is what we teach on hikes. Like, it's okay to feel whatever you do. It's okay. First of all, everybody thinks you have to be all happy all the time. Well, it's okay to be happy, but it's a choice. We have to work through the stuff to go ahead and be happy. So yes, everybody has emotional blocks. And it's not just one, be like, woohoo, I broke that one. I mean, you had years of emotional blocks that we have to break through.
Uh-huh.
And it's all the time because you have to reprogram what something might mean.
Right.
There's a lot of depth behind that. So I still have to work on that. I have a coach that I talk to all the time when I have to, focus. I'm like, am I being irrational? They go, well, you're just being Leslie. So acknowledge who you are. And then now, like, Leslie Ann, be okay. So it's just like, all right. And then there we go.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I always tell people with detoxing, which I see this as like an emotional detox. But any form of detox, it's like peeling layers of the onion. So you peel one and you're like, oh, I got rid of that. But then you find this other thing that you need to peel. Then you peel that and you're like, oh, and then you're like, oh my God, there's this thing now. And, at some point, hopefully we get to more like the center where it's just pure. But, and then we're exposed to new toxins, new, emotion, whether it's emotional, physical, spiritual. And then we got to deal with those things. So I think that, I know on a physical level, a lot of stuff can come out at first, and then over time, there's just more and more stuff that might come up. But I would think even with emotions, it kind of is probably similar too, right?
It is extremely right. And emotions all actually go back to kind of your earliest memories. So an emotion that you heal. So part of the healing is you're talking about the onion layers. That's good. And you know what? You cry when you cut onions, and you cry when you release these layers too. We cry in nature. We do that, but it's actually interesting because the part of the people who think that they're the toughest or the strongest are the ones who are crying the most when we're out on the hikes. And it's okay. It's all okay. There's no, like, finally take some time to let down that emotional, I'm going to quote Brene Brown right now. It's just your emotional armor, and finally let that down and release it a little bit and let some feelings back in.
Right.
Because you know what? It's okay. Men have cried. They're like, I'm so sorry. And I go, you know what? Go ahead. I'm not judging. It's okay. Mm-hmm. Are you sure? I'm like, and that then comes in where they have to learn how to trust me. So it's just like, I'm not judging you. Just go ahead and let that stuff down. And then we find out, like, because you always have to remember, like, your memories. And it's always like a rebranding of a memory from actually when you were a child. So it's just like, okay, what was the earliest message when something similar like this happened? And then you relive that whole trauma again. So you can have a memory from when you were 4 or 5 years old, and now you can be 45 and still suffer from that because you reprogram that and said, oh, well, because this happened, so we have to learn how to reprogram everything of what that means. And it does take time.
Okay. So what does it look like when you're hiking with people, when you're doing these emotional healing and life coaching techniques?
It's you know what? I love it now because I have one lady up in Mount Charleston. She's really cute. She sees when I come with my clients now, and she brings us water because she's like, have a good session, ladies. And it's just really cute. So she'll walk us off and we'll have some waters. But we'll start off and we'll do a meditation, and we have to do, but it's so much fun of doing a meditation that's in nature. Because you hear the birds, my favorite sound is the wind in the trees. So you get to hear the wind in the trees, and it's the pure energy that comes in from that of sound. We'll have to, though, set an intention. It's just like, okay, because learning how to prepare for your day is like, what do you, and not really expectation, but it's what do you intend to achieve on this session? And I can't be attached to the outcome, because as much as, I'm a competitive person, it's like, we will win and we will release that energy. um, Sometimes that might not happen. So I have to learn how to be not attached to the outcome. Whatever road takes us is what takes us. Right. But having that intention actually gives us focus on where we want to go and focus of what we want to do. And we have, it's always interesting because on the hikes that have a little bit of a climb, we're climbing through a problem, and it's interesting to see how it correlates. We'll be climbing, and 3 times now, there's probably a very bare spot up in Mount Charleston where there's no rocks anymore, but we have rock throwing sessions where there's nobody underneath, everybody's safe, there's no animals, I trust it, everybody's good. But they name the rock and then they throw it over, like, I am no longer having this in my life right now. And then they scream. We're by ourselves on the trail. We go very early, in the mornings, and we're just screaming and releasing it, and able to release it physically, orally. You're able to see it go. And I says, okay, we're going to go back down now, and we're not taking this back with us. So what are we going to do to replenish the good stuff now? Because now you have a void. So once you release something, you got to fill it back up with some good stuff. So that's when we do the gratitude. So all the way back down, there is no negativity. It's what are you thankful for? It could be the little ladybug that was there, or it could be like the rocks that were here. And that is where the healing session comes of what they're crying. They're like, you know what? I am really thankful for everything that I do, or that I have in my life. I didn't realize how blessed I was. I go, until you can see, so get rid of all that stuff, and now you can see how fulfilled your life really is. And we didn't really change anything. We just released that emotion that was just bogging vision.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. I find it so interesting how we can have these emotional blocks, and we can't see life the way it's really supposed to be presented to us, because we can have this, it's like glasses over
the lens.
Yeah. So it's amazing how, with your therapy and then going to nature, how that can kind of just take the mask off and allow people to see with laser clarity. That's the word that you gave me.
Yeah, it is that laser clarity. And then there also comes in grounding. At the time, we'll do grounding. But we do that a couple different ways. Sometimes I am not a feet person, and people probably that hear me now know I am not a feet person. But sometimes you do. Sometimes you just have to take your shoes off, and, I'll put them up on the rocks and then let the energy, because you release a lot of the negative ions that go back into the world. And nature has a way of putting in the positive ions. So it's just like how we were talking about taking care of each other, about reciprocity, is this whole thing that grounding helps you do. But if you don't like taking your shoes off, you also can ground by tree hugging, but be careful with that, because you might get a lot of sap on you. So I'm just saying, just be careful. But if you want to hug a tree, go ahead, because you can't, it's hard to get it out of your clothes. I tried. I was hugging a tree and I ruined one of my shirts because there was sap all over. So anyway, if anybody has a remedy for sap, let me know. But it's also where we just breathe, and we're in our horse stance, what's called, because we do a lot of energy movement, and it might be called that way in yoga or qigong or some things about how you move that. And we actually hold on to the leaves, and we actually breathe in the air, and we get silent, and we do breathing meditation, what's called. And we just breathe in the energy from the plants and then release it, then all the negativity back out. So that is very emotional, where people have, just by breathing and by holding onto the plants, tears and breakdowns just started to shed.
Yeah, because it's grounding them. So once we can get out any type of toxin, whether it's emotional, whether it's a physical toxin, a spiritual toxin, it could be a demon, as you had mentioned in your bio. Now we can really just, sometimes it sucks too. First, you have to go through that uncomfortable part. You have to feel it. You have to, when toxins are trying to be released, I tell people, with parasites, for example, it's like they're screaming, like, I don't want to die. I don't want to come out. But if you just push through and go through it, then on the other side, you're gonna feel so much better.
Well, did you ever hear the analogy with the caterpillar and the butterfly? About that experiment. So there was an experiment that a teacher did. They had 2 butterflies. And so she had, I think it was a 3rd grade or 4th grade, but I don't know, but it was a younger grade. And they had where they could help the caterpillar out of the cocoon. Once they saw the struggle, they could open up one of the cocoons. Then you couldn't open up the other one. You just had to let it be. So what the students found out with this science experiment was that the ones that they helped, they wanted to help out of the cocoon that didn't have the struggle, died because it wasn't able to build up the vascular structure that it needed to be a butterfly. But the one that they didn't help, the one that was struggling, turned out to be a beautiful butterfly. So it's sometimes through that struggle that we're building up our capillaries, we're building up the spiritual events that we need, or anything. We're building up who we are. It's creating our character, so of who we are. And sometimes along the way, it's just like we all want to be such nurturers, but sometimes if we help people like that way, so it's release it, and because that struggle, you're going to become a beautiful butterfly at the end.
Yeah, I like that. So how do you think that these hikes, well, I guess it's the whole thing, the whole therapy
Right.
and the hike, how do you think that it improves your decision-making skills?
So with decision-making skills, it's, well, first of all, you got the clarity, and we were talking about that. And it's also developing what it is that you want out of life. And I'm going to say that again. Stop complaining about what you don't want in life, because what you focus on manifests.
Right.
So what you do want in life, focus on that. So it's that decision. Okay, what do I want? So I had an individual who was going through a divorce, and she's just like, did I do the right thing? I'm like, well, we can't change history of what happened, but let's go ahead through that to see if the divorce was the right thing. So then we had, so you know exactly what you want, then know why you want it. So is it just going to be because you want space, or you want peace of mind? Like, what is the real why of why? Because like, well, I want $1 million. Okay. Why? Well, so I can do this, 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 and this. Okay. Well, what are those things? So, I mean, they come in different play, but the why is the belief behind it. So then you have, does what you want, does that align with your values? You and I might have totally different values. We get along because we respect each other, but you might have a different value than I do. So there might be one day I might upset you, and I just didn't realize I upset you because I actually was borderline your value. I actually pushed a value, which is called a non-negotiable, that is going on. So it's just like, I actually hurt you unexpectedly. So it's just like, know your values on what the decision is going to cost. Then does what you want harm you or somebody else? I always have harm in there because we'll make a decision, and it kind of goes back to me being in the security days and as a paramedic. Does a decision that you make, will that provide harm to you or somebody else? So do you want to have that drink? Okay, have the drink. Will it do harm for me? Well, it might not do harm for somebody who just has one drink, but if that extra drink who had, 20 of them before, it's going to do harm to him. And then if they get violent afterwards, there's always a trickle effect of what's going on. So is it going to harm me or somebody else? And then the other one is, if it's not going to do harm, then take action. Just move, take action. Well, what if I fail? What if you succeed?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Then you'll know not to do it again. Okay, a mistake is a mistake. Don't do it again.
Mm-hmm.
It's just think, go ahead and try it. Okay, well, that didn't work. Well, what did you learn from it? There's always something to learn from every decision.
Right. Yeah, I think that the most successful people probably have, quote unquote, failed the most too.
Yeah.
Messed up. I mean, I wouldn't be where I'm at today either if I didn't mess up several times, just because I was like, I have this huge faith, I'm going to do this thing, and I don't know exactly what I'm doing or where I'm going or what it is. But you know what? Like, yeah, I got myself in some debt. Yeah, I did this. I did things that maybe I look back now, and if I was coaching someone to do something similar to what I'm doing, I would probably tell them not do that. But, but at the same time, I think God really honors our faith. And if we mess up, it's, there's some grace in that too, that we can come back and everything is going to, will work out for good.
It's through that struggle and there is a lot of struggle with decisions, like making a decision. But when you're in nature though, too, it's like, what path should I take? Choose one, and then we'll see if we get it. Okay. Do you know the way back? Well, yeah, I know the way back. I've walked it like a couple different times. But I'm not in charge when I'm there. I always have my clients lead. They're like, well, which way do you want me to go? Like, which way do you want to go? Well, what do you mean? And sometimes we're there for about 5 minutes because they're looking back. I go, just choose. Just choose one. What's the worst that could happen? That is like the question. What is the worst that can happen? We'll be around here. Well, then we'll do another thing. It's okay. Oh, I can do that? Yeah, it's your life.
Yeah.
You can, go ahead and do that as long as it's in line with your values and you're not hurting anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it's just funny just to watch. It's like I love that when we're at the crossroads, because it's just,
yeah. I just love how there's so many symbolisms to our life, when you're going on a hike, and how you're so good at pointing those out, and like that decision making you're at a crossroad. It's like a crossroad in life. How many times we come to a crossroad, we're like, should I move here? Should I go there? Should I date this person? Should I start this business? Or should I do this other thing? Maybe I should just get a job in life. Like,
mm-hmm.
There's so many decisions to make, but I love how what you do helps people get clear on what it is they want. And I think, as I talk to a lot of life coaches, I feel like that's kind of an underlying theme, is really just, what is your vision, and getting really clear on that. And I think it's awesome how nature and your therapies can really help remove some of the blinders, so people can be like, oh, this is my authentic self. This is who I really am. This is who I'm really supposed to be. And that's where the person is gonna thrive the most. And I feel like you're the most healthy at the same time too, because now you're not trying to do something that you're not. When you fight yourself, your body has a physical reaction to that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's well, and I also had to walk my own talk the other day because I have a fear of bats. So we were going on one of the tunnels, and there was a swarm of bats that were up, and the only way through the tunnel the only way to get to where we needed to go was to go through the tunnel. And well, I couldn't walk. So the client was trying to talk to me like, it's okay. I'm like, hold on, let me just breathe, and we're going to do this. We had a very fast pace through the tunnel, and we did it. But it was interesting for her to see that I even got scared. And it was a part of like my fears. And it's like, I'm not going to let this dictate me. Like, I know what it's going to do. Let me just breathe here. Let me go ahead and do it. And it was just cool for her to see. She goes, well, if you could do that, then I could do it. Because she saw where we had the fast pace. I wasn't like, right now is no coaching. We are just getting through this tunnel. That is all that we're doing. I'm not hearing anything that anybody says. We are walking. And it was cool because but then it got to show me more of her and to realize her, because she's a big helper. So she was more worried about me than her own safety, knowing that it was so it actually, that scenario that wasn't planned at all was one of the biggest lessons for both of us. So
I think so too. I think sometimes people need to see a leader in their vulnerable state too, because it's so easy to think, well, Leslie Ann's the emotional coach, so she's perfect at that. Dr. Jacqueline is a naturopath, so she's so healthy. And we're not always perfect either. We have things we're working on, and a lot of times we get in this field because we are working on something. And we want to know more, and we want to know more, and then we realize it helps us, so then it helps another person, and yet we're still learning more and more and more.
I love that trickle effect. I do. That was one of the and we laughed. So we were at Hoover Dam. We were just laughing because it was just so unplanned but magical, and to heal it. I mean, there were so many things that were wrapped around it. It was cool. Right. But we had to go back through it the other way. So then there was the other, like, okay, breathe, let's go. And so she knows my command march, she called it, because I was just focused on what I needed to do, and we were walking through that tunnel.
Right. Yeah. Well, so do you think maybe, relating that back to life, it's like, okay, the first time you go through a situation that's uncomfortable, you probably hopefully have learned some lessons, right? Especially if you're doing emotional coaching. So the second time you walked through that tunnel, did you find that you guys dealt with that a little bit better?
We did. Well, and it was good because she knew it. She was able to read me where I was able to read her. And it's just like, I knew she was going to be more worried about me just because of that. And I took a breath, and then all of a sudden I started my pace, and she's like, all right, let's go. I got you. So it's that part of letting people know, your I don't want to say weakness. It's not a weakness, but let them know that your authenticity, like, hey, that freaked the bejesus out of me. And then other people are able to help, because givers like to give their help. And so if we're all in this world of givers, we have to have some receivers too. So we have to both be willing to give and receive at the same time. And that was cool that she was able to give me some protection. Mm-hmm. And we were able to go ahead and walk through it. That was very, very magical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that there's definitely some healing in that situation too, where if someone's so much of a giver, sometimes they need to receive it, and they'll find healing in that too, when they can finally open themselves up the opposite way. Yeah. And vice versa. If we're so much of a receiver, then there's a time that if we finally give, then we can release too. I had a life coach, and she, Adelina, she was great. I did a podcast with her too recently, and awesome. And she's really big on tithing. So giving a portion of, money is one, but also time. She has a lot of different things that she'll tithe from and give. But the way she explained it is that it's like when you breathe in, you need to breathe out, right? Yep. So it's kind of like that with our things in our life as well. It's like when we receive financial blessing, for example, well, then we need to give a little bit away. Otherwise, it's like we're I don't know what a good word is or analogy is, but we're just building up and building up, and it's like we're going to explode if we don't just kind of release a little bit.
Yeah. You breathe in God's grace and then let out, exhale, the I can't even think of the word right now.
Maybe a blessing or.
Yeah, but I mean, it is, and but it's also the cycle of life. So it teaches you, like the cycle of life, like, because what we exhale, other nutrients, like with photosynthesis, trees and stuff like that, need, and then there's that whole thing. So we play the whole life cycle. And the thing is, what helps with a lot of the depression is that we're not alone. Like, even though you're in nature and you might be alone, you're really, really not. You're not alone. You have the trees that help you. And if you really pay attention, like, one of the powers of nature is actually it speaks to you, but you have to be very calm and you have to be willing to listen, because it will tell you which way to go. The wind will tell you the direction. The animals will tell you the direction on what needs to do. So pay attention to the elements around that's there. It's very interesting, but you have to have that laser focus. But that's a little bit later, when a lot of emotions are released, because you have to be really, really focused on what nature is trying to tell you. And it does speak to you in a couple different ways.
Wow. I never thought about that. Well, I will tell you, the listeners, that Leslie Ann took us on a hike, our group, the Las Vegas Wellness Mastermind. I came a little bit late because, well, I'm always in the office working and doing things, but I think I had a client or whatever, for whatever reason I was late. They already started the hike, and so much had already happened in that little time that I had missed. And I came and they were taking a break, but they were sharing all these stories about Dr. Gail partying the Red Sea.
It was amazing. She was there. She just felt, nature lets you be you because it doesn't really judge. Like it is there. And we have, and as groups, I do take groups out too. And it's because you have to have a buddy system. So each one of us had their buddy. So it's like, I can look and take care, but you have to be responsible for you and your buddy. So this is where the helpers and the givers and receivers come in. So it's just, how's your buddy? And you had the party of the Red Sea. Now we had a couple different, they wanted a ground. So they were taking up and I go, we have rattlers around here. They're like, yeah, that's fine. I'm like, okay. Just letting you know, just be careful where you put your feet. There's no holes or, whatever. Be careful with that. It was amazing. They were prepared. They had we just had a gorgeous time.
One girl got stung by a bee, right?
Yes. That was cool. But then you had, Dr. Marion was the swatter. She goes, I swatted that away. Did you see how powerful I was? Like, oh, God, you were great. She goes, I did it. I'm like, yeah, you did. It was awesome.
Yeah, so I come in and Leslie Ann's analyzing the whole situation, of course. I like. She's so intuitive like that. She's like, this happened and this. Yeah, but it's just, I walked into this. It was beautiful. So, we thank you for that and look forward to our next group hike. But yeah, that's something that you guys can consider for a family probably, right? Or a business, any type of group, a group of girlfriends. I'm sure there could be tension in a group like that.
Yes.
That might need to be worked out. And, or maybe even a husband and a wife. Have you ever done a couple?
Not yet. And the only reason for that is that will be after a couple sessions I have one-on-one, because there's still the fear of, well, if I say, well, if what we say, so like families, it's kind of like a little different, but I have done different hikes with husbands and wives, like separate. And we've gone to that, and it's just like, well, you're going to choose her side. I go, I'm going to choose the Leslie Ann side. So I says, I don't know what side that is, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk. But it's really helped. I just did a group hike with Teen Challenge. It's a youth group that's out here that rescues individuals from addictions. So we went out there because emotional wellness is all about releasing your emotional addictions. We all have an addiction to something.
Right.
You know, if it's, you know, like, well, you didn't give me enough love, or if you didn't give me this. I mean, there's always, it doesn't really have to be a quote unquote tangible substance. There could be intangibles. So we went on a group with them, and those guys are hilarious. Oh my God. I laughed so hard. I says, I don't know if I need to do any ab work today, because we were just laughing so hard. And because each one of them was leading a different hike. And they, again, are another group of individuals who never had lead within their own life. So it's just by being put in a leadership position, you can see the quiet ones. And it's just like, no, you're in charge of this hike. We have a quote unquote medical emergency that sometimes I'll put them in. And I'm not telling any viewers when or whatever, but there is, and it's like how you react under pressure is also your authentic self. Like it's all on one end, because if you freak out, because how you do one thing in life is how you do everything. So when you're put in a panic situation, if you're the one who freaks out or just stands there, or, I mean, we have the autonomic nervous system, you know, we have all that stuff about the fight, or flees, or sympathetic, nervous system. But it's when you're in that situation, that is also a real indication of who you are. So it's like, okay, how do you react? Some people just look. Some people don't try to take charge, that don't know how to take charge, but want to take charge. It's just like, no. And then you have the individuals who know how to do it, but just stay there because they have the fear, well, what will somebody think if I do it? Or they're going to have me do it and take lead. So it's just interesting. So we play with that on team dynamics a lot.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think it's interesting note too that you're saying you take the couples, you've had them separately, but not necessarily together yet, at least. I could see how, you know, if let's say we're two separate people, we both come with baggage and we're trying to do this life together. Now we have both baggages, we're both carrying, and you know, maybe just aggravating a situation because now we have our baggage is conflicting with the other person's baggage or vice versa. And so it seems to me that makes sense that you would deal with each person by themselves first, to kind of let go of some stuff, so that by the time that you do bring them together, then it's more of a healthy coaching session.
And it's interesting how, I mean, in emotions, you have a lot of emotional investment with what's going on with people, like your spouse or your other person. That's why I still even kind of feel weird, like, honey, and my saying that drives me nuts is like, we need to talk. Like, could you kind of like soften up a little bit, like, hey, when you have a second, maybe we should talk about something. It'd be like, okay, whenever that comes, it's like, what did I do? So it's learning how to have what I call a heart talk. And it's just like, okay, what have I not fulfilled in your life right now that you need from me? So instead of like, you have done this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, and this wrong, but you've done this wrong, this wrong, or this one, it's like, okay, what haven't I done to fulfill your heart bank right now? Like, oh, all right, you haven't listened to me. Like, well, but that's okay. Like, no, don't try to rationalize it, kind of talk it through. I mean, I've done that, but I don't think, and we'll see, but I think on the hikes that when we do the couple thing, that will be more of an intimate setting.
Yeah.
That will be more of, we'll see. Maybe it could be in the lodge, but it will be more of that, or who knows? We'll see. We might go a camping thing. I mean, there's a couple times I have ideas and it's like, hey, let's go on a camp out. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what goes on.
What did you say earlier? You got to go with the
flow.
Least resistance.
Yep. Well, because if you're swimming up, the stream, you're exhausted.
Right.
And I love Disney. Everybody knows that. So it's like, all right, you go through the current. You could be like crushed, and just take the current. Be like, hey man, like, okay, I'm swimming through life, but it's good. Least resistance. We're fighting our own fight. It's just don't stop.
Yeah. Life's already crazy enough. We don't need to fight our own fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really awesome to be able to discover. I'm sure there's so many people that don't even realize that they're fighting their own fight, and I really get the sense that they're understanding what the fight they're fighting is when they're with you in nature.
Yeah. And sometimes they're like, oh my gosh, that was so dumb. Or I can't believe that that's so stupid. It's like, well, first of all, stop judging yourself, because our self-talk is like
Mhm.
amazing. It's just like, do you really talk to your best friend that way? Well, no. Well, why do you talk to you that way? What?
Right.
Oh. And then it's just like, okay, I'm going to go and just ask it, just ask it a little question.
Uh,
But it is that, and I got sticky notes on my mirror. It's just like, you are awesome. And the first time I saw it, I'm like, you are awesome. Like, it was just weird. And I'm like, hello, gorgeous. Like, hello, how you doing? What's going on? But it is weird. You're talking to yourself in the mirror. But if you think about it, you talk to yourself all day. Sometimes I
yeah.
wish I could divorce myself and be like, I don't like who I am today. Just see you. I don't want to be you. It's like, I'm stuck
Uh,
with me. So it's like, try to have fun with it. We are
right.
so structured, and nature teaches fun. There's the power of fun.
Right. I love that. I
Yeah.
love fun and laughter therapy. Those are things that I keep getting from you on these hikes. I mean, seriously, I do these Zyto scans, and I was able to choose what type of therapies that can link to the person because it links with their frequencies. So laughter therapy comes up for people. Sometimes people just need to laugh it out, and it seems like you guys are having a ball.
We do. We have so much. Well, because like we're just real. It's just real. I'm like, this is for you. This is the coaching session. This is all about healing. You know what? If you're struggling up the mountain, so am I. They see me, breathe, and they're like, well, you're so fit. I'm like, no, I'm not. But it's just walking on this day. I'm like, hey, I need to take a break. I'll be holding a tree, and it's like, oh, this is a nice tree. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was like, wow, she is hiking for her business. How many hours a day can you hike?
Well, I had to put it down because I was very like, go get them. Like, this is the thing I need to do. But I needed to take self-care for me. And I only do it every other day. I do it on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Got
So
it.
my Tuesdays and Wednesdays in between are for me to heal. And it's only a 3-hour session. Sometimes they go 4 because we just talk and laugh and, whatever.
Um,
But I was doing 2 a day, and it was just getting way too strenuous for me and all that. So it's like, all right, I had to honor my own vessel and do my own values and show my clients, hey, this is my boundaries. This is what's going on. And these are the hikes the times that we have available. So,
yeah. Again, it goes back to that. If we take care of ourselves, then we can take care of others more. And I think that's a theme of something that people really need to hear is, and that's what you're doing too. When you're doing these hikes, you're taking care of yourself and your
mm-hmm.
emotions and processing things that you need to process. So, I thank you for doing this with people.
Well, you're welcome. And we're all sweating, so it's the stuff, we're all sweating. We all got hats on. We have hat hair. We have stuff. It's just like, you don't need to worry about looking all your best do or whatever. It's like, just be you that's out there. And we do this together. We're both growing together at the same time. So now I know that this is my purpose, and I just love what I'm able to do.
That's awesome. So you said that the hikes help people reveal their purpose, but they also help reveal to you that that was your purpose.
Well, it did because it's just like, well, I never knew when I was little what I wanted to do. So it's just like, let me try this. Let me try this. All right, let me be a paramedic. Okay, let me go ahead and do this. Vegas, the lights were calling me and stuff like that because I was injured, in Illinois. I'm like, Vegas. My grandparents live out here. All right, let's do Vegas. And so there's all these things that I did, but now it's just like, oh. So all the experience and everything is put into one, all the experiences that I had in life. And that's what I want people just to know too. It's not just me. Like every single experience you have in life, just you will find a way that they all tie in together to help individuals.
Yeah. I saw a quote on somebody's Facebook the other day. It said something like, we grow when we reflect, not through the experience.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Basically, when we're reflecting, that's when we're growing the most. And it seems like when you're in nature, you're going to have a lot of time to just kind of reflect on your life. And especially if you're working with a therapist like yourself or life coach.
It is. It is. And I love that part because people don't really take the time, because I can't sit, like my problem is I needed to find a way to heal, and I was just hiking by myself and I took my friends with me. But now being able, because I can't concentrate with meditating. I can't, it's just, I can't sit in a room and okay, it's just like I need to be walking meditation I was introduced to. So I would walk around my neighborhood here, and then that helped me to center. And then I'm like, okay. And then the more we experienced it, and then going out is part, because when you do go in nature, there is that calmness where you don't have the distractions. You don't have your cell phone. I mean, you'll have it on you, but you have no reception. So it's just like, okay, this is the time that it's meant for you. How are you going to use that?
Yeah. Yeah. So you wanted to bring, at some point you want to have hiking retreats, right?
Yes. Yes. I think that would be really cool. So eventually what will be because more and more people are saying that are starting to like this. I go, this is kind of cool. I'm glad that, there is such a need and people can feel, actually, it's not even see, but it's actually feel what I'm trying to accomplish here through my purpose. And basically it would be like a weekend retreat. So, I figure in about a year, that's my goal, is start off about a year, but we'll go up to Mount Charleston because I have now my friends, I call my posse, up there at Mount Charleston, and we'll be in the lodge. So they'll come in just for a weekend. So Fridays you'll come in and we'll have, just like the sessions, and we can talk about what you're going to experience, get acclimated, see what's going on. But Saturday you'll have the different hikes that you can go on. I have a lot of coaching friends that want to be a part of this. So a couple of them are going to come in to help me, because there's going to be different hikes that we could all go on as a group, because some people want to do stuff like this as a group also. So you can meet new friends as a group, and there will be like the easier type hikes. Then you have like a medium hike. And then for the people who are gung-ho, that will not be me, but I do have a coach, spiritual friend who is amazing at that. And she'll take them, like that group on that hike. So that will be all day Saturday. There will be a fun activity at night on Saturday nights, because we're all going to be pumped from the hike anyway. And then Sunday, it's going to be the part of where we're going to go and we're going to meet. I mean, we're all going to be sad and pumped that we're ready. But the number one thing I see with retreats of what we need help with is how are we going to incorporate this back into our lives? So we're there, we're good, we're great. We come home, husband says, sure took you long enough. I had crying kids all weekend or whatever. There's, like a couple of things coming in. It's like, oh, there goes that experience. It's like, well, all right, what did you learn? And how are you going to apply everything that you learned from nature, from our session from this weekend? How are you going to be able to apply it in the world? And then we'll have it continuate like a community where you can be like, I can't believe, how is it when you come back? And we'll have an online base of them where we can go ahead and make sure we can check in, where you'll be able to have that group of individuals who can just, oh my gosh, it was great when I came home, or this, or see, and then just a like-minded individuals who had an experience just like you did. Mm-hmm. And they can go ahead and just be all too, and not be like, okay, she's like, did you smoke something on there, or what's going on? And just be like crazy of what you wanted to do. So mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's my goal. And I got a lot more things coming, but with the popularity of what's going on with this is I'm trying to form it where it could be a bigger base of individuals could come in and experience it.
Well, don't be surprised if that comes a little sooner than later.
Copy that.
Mark my words.
I know. Well, you did already. You did the other one.
Right? Just a few months ago.
Yeah.
Not as a prominent in your business, right?
Yeah, it was awesome.
So all of a sudden, we go on a group hike at our group, and now you rebrand your business. And
awesome. It was really cool. I'm like, well, in a couple of years, I would like to do this. Like, all right, a couple of months, it happened.
Right. Yep. So that's why I'm saying, don't be surprised if that, because I could see you doing that. I could really see you putting it together, even if it was like quarterly or every other month or something, so that people that like that group setting could have that available for them. And maybe they might even want to, be like on a, not just do one, but do, come, and the next time you do it, you come again, and they're growing as a group. So,
well, that's part of it. Cause the next thing is a couple of my clients want to know how they can be me. And I says, well, nobody can be me. There's only one me. But if you want to be like something that I do, then trying to create a training program where they can also give back to. So it's going to be that where they're like, well, we could be like the instructor, because I was talking to some of them about the plans, and it's just, okay, this is starting to kind of percolate a little bit quicker than I thought. So like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I could see that too. And so why don't you tell the listeners where they can find you?
Well, you could find me on Facebook. So I'm on, it's Hikes Heal. So just go ahead and type on Hikes Heal and you'll be able to find everything you need to about Hikes Heal. I also do have Leslie Ann Coaching Facebook. So that's just with more of in-depth, I'm going to be getting rid of that pretty soon, but that was more of my corporate trainings that was going on. I have corporate now that comes out to me in the wilderness. So I don't go to corporate anymore. They come to me in the wilderness.
Nice.
But Hikes Heal, Instagram. I love my Instagram. So anybody out there, I know how to do my hashtags now. I know how to do all that stuff. So I am an Instagram junkie. So it's at Leslie Ann and then the underscore and then coach. And you can find, we have postings of some hikes and stuff like that goes on with that. I am on LinkedIn under Leslie Ann. And LinkedIn's okay, I says, but I do. For some reason, my means is the Instagram. I love my little picture thing and be like, okay, peeps, here we go. And then I do have, you could reach me personally at leslieanncoaching.com if you have any questions about what's going on. And I do have my website at Leslie Ann Coaching. And that talks about, and we're transforming that right now because it's getting more of the nature based and more of the hikes. And a couple of my clients now are doing videos, and it's getting cool. It's getting crazy, but it's getting pretty cool. So it's awesome with that.
Yeah, hashtag Hikes Heal.
Yeah, it's on, and that is a hashtag. That is, I put on everything now is hashtag Hikes Heal because it is amazing. And the world, they're in the hiking world, people escape, but they don't really know why they're escaping to nature. They know that they need it. It's like, okay, I go, then you come back, but you bring all that drama back with you. It's just like, leave it up there. Let the nature and the plants recycle and do its business. And then you go back down feeling refreshed and with gratitude and just love.
That's beautiful. So do you have any last comments?
I just thank you very much. I love talking with you. We could probably talk a couple more hours or whatever like that in all of this, but thank you for your time. Dr. Jacqueline, you are a very, very amazing woman. I'm like, rah, rah, rah. A woman. You're very awesome with that. I appreciate everything you've done for me personally, but that I see also growing with the other people that we're with. So thank you very much. Keep using your gifts too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, you guys. Well, thank you for listening. And that concludes our show for today. Bye.
Bye. Bye.